everybody. Gonna give it 5-minute countdown till we start. But I am going to, let's see, need to make sure that I have this stuff set to share. Hey, Margaret. Let me pop the chat out. There we go. Try to organize this. Oh, what's up, Rick? Rick in the house. I need to make it so live chat. There we go. Ale, my man. All right. 1 second. I need to get a tweet out. Where's the link? I need to find the link to share. There we go. All right. That was simple. I like when things are easy. Okay, and so, like I said, just gonna give it a few minutes, let some people come in. We'll start at 2 o'clock my time, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm so used to calling it market time. That's what I call it. But Tony, what's up, brother? Yeah. So while we're waiting for this to start, somebody just throw me a thumbs up or something in the chat. Let me know that the audio is clear. I think everything should be good. All my settings are the same from last week. What's up, Prawn? Hope everybody's having a good weekend. You guys watching some football? My Chiefs are playing right now, so I'm kind of a little bit distracted. Let me get one last score check before we start. All right. Yep, we're winning. 9-3. Screw the Cowboys. All right, cool. So sound check came through. Keep in mind, guys, there is a slight delay between what you're hearing me say and me saying it. So when I ask for feedback or I'm reading a comment, if you type something and I don't respond to it right away, that's due to the delay. Did you guys all do your Sunday prep homework? I provided the tickers, and I know there's not a lot of them this week. It's a short week, but also I'll discuss why it's a bit shorter when we get into it. Guys, also, if you have a Twitter account or wherever else you may have followers or whatever, please share the fact that we're doing this live stream. Let's try to get as many people over here as possible. So throw it on Twitter. I tweeted. If you want to go retweet the tweet, or on, I don't know if you can share the links on Instagram. Highly doubt you can. But yeah, we need as many eyes on this live as possible, because during the live, you know, we get the chance to have an interaction between me and the viewers, as opposed to people just watching this afterwards, after it's recorded, because they may have questions that they could have asked and will never be. Got about a minute, guys, and we're going to kick off. Dun, 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 dun. All right, guys. So welcome to what I refer to oftentimes as Crack Week, also known as the Turkey Bowl. It's a 4-day work week for us. Thursday is Thanksgiving. Hope all of you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving. Remember, we have so much to be thankful for. And if you're not familiar with why it's Crack Week, Turkey Bowl, it's historically we do have some crazy small cap runners. So make sure that you know that things can get a little bit crazier than usual during this week, and don't rule anything out. That's just kind of make sure you protect your capital a little bit more fiercely than what you may on an average week. So last week I remember you guys probably remember me saying that this is my Ricky Fowler, this is the Movember mustache. This week I'm calling it my Luan Oliveira lip accessory. There are some earnings reports coming out this week, even though it's a short week. I noticed that Dix is reporting, so I know that's probably got Goose smiling. I know he's looking forward to hearing the numbers come out on that name. Speaking of Goose, hopefully you guys watched last week. He did his midweek watch Thursday morning live. He did a live stream just like we're live right now, and it was absolutely phenomenal. He touched on some really good stuff. And also, one last pretty important announcement, guys, is that this Thursday is supposed to be the Method and Mindset episode with me and Kim Ann Curtin. Because it's Thanksgiving, this week's episode's pushed back to next Thursday. And remember, that's 5 p.m. market time, 2 p.m. on the West Coast. It's on TrueTrader.net's Instagram channel. It's not on mine, it's not on Kim's. And if you guys can't wait for it, remember, methodandmindset.com. Head over there. There's hours of free stuff that's available for you guys to watch now. So some good content over there. So last week, I talked briefly about the importance of defining your setups and how that needs to be done as specifically as possible. And then Goose touched on how your personal risk profile needs to align properly with your actual goals. And I thought he did a great job. And if you guys didn't catch that first part of his midweek watch, go rewatch it, because I can't overemphasize how important that was and is. And it segues really nicely into something I kind of want to talk about briefly real fast before we get into the actual Sunday prep, which is the age-old debate of win rate versus risk reward. So now there's a caveat to this, a disclaimer I got to put out there right away. There's no right and wrong risk reward and win rate. They are two sides of the same coin. You know, it's a spectrum. You most likely will not have a super high win rate and have a super high risk reward. That they don't go hand in hand. So in order to have a really high win rate, you have to sacrifice some of the risk reward, and vice versa. Now, I can only speak from my personal experience, and that is that when I talk to a lot of newer traders, there is this obsession with a high win rate. And to me, especially for newer traders that I speak with and work with, it's very dangerous, in my opinion, to obsess over the win rate. Why would that be? Well, in order typically to have a higher win rate, you have to give the stock more wiggle room, more leniency on where it is you would stop out, where it is you would think you're wrong. And basically, you oftentimes will find yourself trying to make it so that you can be right on a trade, even though maybe you shouldn't have. And if you think about the psychology behind those two stark contrasting setups, right? Like a trader who aims to have a really high win rate and is okay with a mediocre risk reward, versus the trader that focuses on the trades that have a higher reward to risk but doesn't care so much about the win rate. The psychology of both traders is completely different. The guy who has a 30% win rate, imagine how easy it is for him to cut a trade the second it's not working. It is so easy mentally to say, this trade is not for me, and that's fine. But if you're that guy who, you know, looks at your numbers, crunches the numbers, defines your setup, and knows your risk profile, but the numbers say that the strategy you trade should have a 85, 90% win rate, imagine how hard it becomes to admit that this is maybe the 1 out of 10 that doesn't work. And that is where the trouble lies, because it becomes so much harder to admit this may be the loser and cut it when you're supposed to cut it. Now, it's okay if you're one of those traders that's very disciplined and you know that you've defined exactly when you're wrong in a trade, and you say, look, this is the 1 out of 10 or whatever it is, right? And on top of that, even with a 90% win rate, that doesn't mean you won't get 2 losses in a row. We don't determine the sequence of our wins and losses. But the guy that has a 30% win rate takes every single trade going, this is probably wrong. This is probably a loser. And that allows them to not be emotionally attached to the outcome of a trade. To me, that equals setup for success. The ability to just detach emotionally from the outcome of any given trade. And it's so much easier to do that when you put the trade on going, this is probably going to be a loser, as opposed to the guy with a 90% win rate and he's trying to make sure, he's like getting 1-to-1 or whatever, so that he can maintain his positive expectancy. Just keep that in mind when you're looking at your system, and be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, are you disciplined enough to trade a 90% win rate strat? Because in order for that strategy to be profitable, you can't let the 1 out of 10 that doesn't work turn into a much bigger loss than it should have. And that's where a lot of traders get themselves in trouble. So that was all. Oh, actually, I did have a graphic I wanted to throw up here, and I should have done it while I was talking about it. But this is just, the risk to reward win rate matrix type thing, right? And you can see, actually, you can't see my cursor when I was trying to point at it on the screen, but with a 50% win rate, 1-to-1 will give you break even. But if you can just be right one time out of every 4 trades, 25% win rate, a 3-to-1 will have you break even. And that just means, it just shows you how you have that cushion of being, it's okay to be wrong. You can be wrong plenty of times, as long as when you're right, you're right big. And I really want you guys to think about that in your trading and how it applies to you guys. So let me get the graphic off. Let's do the disclaimer. Guys, neither I nor TrueTrader or any of its affiliates are licensed security broker dealers. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Nothing I talk about is a solicitation to buy or sell any stocks. Trading's inherently risky, guys. Keep in mind that anything we talk about today on this live stream is simply for entertainment purposes. So let's get into the actual, let's start with the market analysis, guys. SPY. Remember, what was it? 2 weeks ago during the midweek watch, Goose was talking about this dip getting bought up, and it got bought up quick. And since then, new all-time highs, higher lows, trend continues, bull market intact. I actually read a trader's comment this weekend that somebody I highly respect, and I actually really agree with what he said. He said, look, a lot of names, even though the market keeps going higher, right? You'll notice there's a lot of names that just aren't participating in this market rally or in this bull run. And it really does signal that, there's just a few names out there kind of like keeping things going, and the rest of the market's kind of just not participating. And that would signal, like probably getting toppy. The indexes are probably getting a bit toppy here. And his comment to that was, it probably means we go parabolic. And I couldn't agree more, because everybody sees the same thing. When everybody thinks the same thing's going to happen, usually the opposite does. So just throwing that out there. It wouldn't surprise me if everybody thinks this is getting toppy and we just, now, if we get that blow off parabolic type move, then by all means, there's going to be a lot of things setting up for bigger picture ideas. And one of the things I've been doing is keeping an eye on all those names that during this rally have not been participating. Think about it. If you're looking at a name for a long right now and it's not at all-time highs or pushing, what is it gonna take to make that stock push? The market is ripping, okay? So think about how that relates to your ideas and the trade ideas that you're generating. So again, let's start with the higher time frames and we'll work our way down. Monthly, still extended. and we talk about this every week, the distance we separate from the 20-day or the 20 SMA on any time frame, to me, shows me, are we extended? Are we extended on the monthly? Yes. But again, remember when I say that even though we have a lot of room to come back in, this is a monthly chart, so it's not something that happens overnight. A lot of dominoes have to fall before I feel any sort of sentiment shift. So the weekly chart, again, getting pretty extended here. What I will point out is that we had an inside week last week, or not last week, the week before. And then this week we took out those highs, and we didn't quite push on the ES, but you'll see when we get into the NQ that it actually did. So we do have some room to the downside on the weekly chart, and we also have some on the daily chart. Now the daily chart is not extended in any sort of manner where I feel like there's any edge in saying we're definitely going to have some downside. I feel like this could just as easily as it could come back to the 20-day, could easily just keep grinding higher too. I would love to see that blow off type move. We have 4,800 is the annual pivot, right up there with the quarterly as well. So that's the first area where I look for resistance. I mean, there's nothing else up there. We've never been up there, but again, these pivots are mathematical formulas. So that gives me the ability to say when we get up there, if we get up there, that's where I'll look for price action that clues me in on any sort of change. The 20 days, the first level of support for me, and then we come down here to this 45.50 area. Let's move on to the NQ. And again, remember what I was saying about the NQ was we had that inside week. I don't know why that changed from there. Okay, so we had an inside week, and then when we took out the week's highs, we actually had a substantial move higher. The NQ is much more extended compared to its counterpart, the ES. And remember, a lot of names are in the same indexes, but this is more of your tech sector, right? And when we get into the ETFs and the sector analysis, you'll see tech's getting a bit frothy up there. But tech is also the one leading the charge out of all the names that are not lagging. It's the tech names, guys, like the chip makers. If you look at all the Qualcomms and the Nvidias and the AMDs, those are the ones that are really still pushing and holding this market up. So as far as resistance, the quarterly at 16.7, and then the monthly right about that at 16.8, and then pullbacks, this quarterly pivot at 16.2 is going to be right in line with this trend line we're holding. Now obviously there's the monthly that lines up recently with these highs around 16.4, but I'd rather see a pullback to this quarterly, something a bit deeper, and right under that we have the 20-day. So plenty of levels of support below. I don't think we just roll over and fall apart, but obviously things can change, and make sure that you make plans for both situations. So you'll notice, guys, when I do these, I have levels of resistance, I have levels of support, and I have them at multiple areas, and I'm ready for any type of situation. If we go higher, I've got names that I'm watching to short. If we go lower and we find support, I've got names I'm watching for longs as well. Bitcoin, I've heard a lot of talk about it lately. I don't know why every time I change my chart it goes off the auto scale. Sorry about that. Again, remember what we said the last few weeks, guys, is I don't think coming in and pulling back and testing levels is bearish at all. I've seen a lot of bearish talk, the runs over, go to cash. Until I see some other things happening, I'm not there yet. Okay, so I honestly think this quarterly pivot down here puts us in line with this consolidation area, and you also have the recent highs back here from this 53,000 area, and that's going to put us in line with this trend line. So there's a lot of things in the cryptos as well that would have to start falling and before I ever changed my stance on whether or not this chart remains bullish, because I still think this is bullish. I think if you start looking at other time frames and looking at the bigger picture, you start to realize that this is not a broken chart. And so everyone's entitled to their own opinions. There's a lot of people that have made a lot of money in the recent run up, and by all means, if they need to be taking profit, I have nothing against them doing that. I mean, we're all here to make money. It's not about being right. It's about making money, guys. So, but remember, I just trade the equities that are related to cryptos. So the Maras, and remember, Mara, guys, since the news headline came out about the SEC investigating them, which coincided also with them doing like a senior secured notes offering, I've been hands off with them mostly. I just switched over to trading more of Riot and the COIN, Coinbase, and a few other names. But yeah, I will still be trading those, and I do still think that flushes the support offer really great opportunities to scoop those names. So that's it for the broader market. We're going to get over to our bar chart and check out this stock. Oh, I already have it up. Isn't that nice? All right. So guys, only a few things to point out on this week. Energy and oil really kind of rolled over, but if you guys remember when we talked about the bigger picture on these, sorry, I got to find them, like oil especially. So oil, when you zoom in and we're looking at a daily chart, yeah, it looks pretty ugly. Came in. But when we start to like zoom out and start looking at higher time frames, there's a lot of things here that I feel like are still very, very intact. The fact that we are still broke out from this longer term downtrend, and a pullback to either the weekly 20 or this trend line, which is going to put us right by the weekly 50, to me still looks like great spots for support to show up and for us to just be pulling back in a bigger time frame uptrend. So again, even though these had really heavy weeks and looked like they were getting kind of bearish, I still don't think they are yet, and I do think there's going to be some opportunities when these markets finally find some bids. The other names in here, or consumer discretionary was another one we've been talking about, and if you remember what we were saying about it was getting extended and it needed a pullback. Well, looky, got extended, got the pullback. Where did it pull back to? The 20-day. And what are we doing? Pushing back up. So this thing is trending well. It's respecting its levels. It really does look like it's flirting with some new highs. We'll have to see what it does when we push up there, if we push up there. Make sure you guys know the names that are in those sectors so you can go and look at charts and see what has setups and what doesn't. The other one to point out was tech. And tech, again, getting pretty frothy up here. Again, a lot of the tech names are what's really kind of holding up the market, in my opinion. So if these things want to really get parabolic and start pushing, there's going to be a lot of names that I think are getting a bit ahead of themselves. And so they should present themselves some nice opportunities. I did want to just quickly point out, certain things like the financial sector had its pullback. It came deeper than I think a lot of people were prepared for. But the Friday's close, they bought it back up. And what I'm going to be interested in is how does it close on Monday? Does it stay heavy, or do we start to get a bit of a reversal here in the financial sector? And retail looked kind of similar, was really heavy. I think there was one more I wanted to point out. It's probably just energy. Yeah, just the fact that energy fell apart. So yeah, that's basically the sector analysis, guys. This bar chart matrix makes it very simple to go and see what performed well and what didn't, and then you just cross-reference it with your ETFs and say, look, is this thing just pulling back to support, or is this thing looking pretty bearish and we want to short pops back into resistance? And that's how I use it. So let's get into the actual ideas. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that I actually think that EV sector theme, I don't think it's dead. I actually think there's a lot of names in EV that still have a lot of range, they still have a lot of volume, they still have a lot of momentum. And so QS was the one that I just love the daily chart on it. I mean, we got the follow through, and now we pulled back to what? The 200-day and the 20-day, and it bounced. Now, the one thing I don't necessarily love about it is the daily candle on Friday, just because it closed pretty far off highs. It didn't even close above the halfway mark. But what I'm kind of looking at is, let's just look at a 5-minute chart here. You can see these levels here around 34, 35. Those are what we're trying to hold on Friday. What I need, or not need, but what I would prefer to see happen is to see us push up, maybe get back above 30, 35, 50-ish, push, maybe test Friday's highs, and then what I would look for is dips back into these levels to show support. The other option is we roll over an open week, and then I would be risking against Thursday's lows down in this 33 area. I think you could probably still buy a dip on it, but if the momentum is still there and the volatility, or not the volatility, the volume is there, I'd rather see it push early and then pull back and offer dips where the trend wants to hold. I don't want to see early weakness unless it just flushes real quick, holds levels, and then starts going, because I want to see the strength. If we're going to be buying this with the kind of the thought process that the momentum is still in the EV sector, then that's what I'd like to see happen. You don't want to see price action not match what your thesis is, right? So next one on the list is BROS. And what I will say about this one is, I know most people will be like, well, why would this be on your strong stocks looking for continuation? Was it this one? Yeah. So this is the thought process here on this one. Yeah, it came in hard. I kind of just feel it's ready for a bounce. And here's the thing. We've come down from 72 to 52, and how many red days in a row? This thing has just been red, 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 red. Friday was the first day we got a nice green close, and it was a big old bounce off the monthly pivot down there at 52. Okay, so basically my thought process on bros is morning flush, buying it with risk against Friday's lows in hopes that this thing's going to have a rebound day. I mean, obviously still could be early in the stages of this move. This could just be a big pullback to put a higher low in, but it's a day trade. Keep in mind, guys, as long as the market is the way it is right now, all of my long ideas are just for day trades. There's no way I'm starting any new swing positions in this market. That I guess I should have said during the market analysis. I apologize, but make sure you understand all long ideas this week and probably for the next week or so after, as long as the market stays the way it is, are going to be day trades. So I just like the fact that we finally found some buyers off a key level, and the fact that it's been straight down since. So that's why I was putting bros on there. Obviously, if we lose Friday's low a day, probably don't want anything to do with it. Maybe keep an eye on it if we come down to this next area in the 45s. The next one was CRM, and this one's been strong. So this is one of those names I was talking about, guys, where if you're looking for long ideas and the market has been the way it's been, you better be looking at names that are at least pushing their all-time highs and have been strong. So CRM's one of them. We've just been up and away since we got out of this little flag channel here. And right now, we're just riding this 20-day. You're getting higher lows, and one of the things I liked about it was we had an inside week. So all last week's price action was inside the previous weeks. So I'm looking for us to take out last week's highs, and then I want to buy dips if we start putting in higher lows. And obviously we closed on lows on Friday. We might retest this annual. For me personally, I don't want anything to do with CRM unless first it proves a bit of strength to me, and that would be taking out Wednesday's highs. Okay, so that's why I have the alert set up there. I don't plan on buying any weakness on this name unless it comes down to the 50-day, which is going to be around 285. Other than that, the only idea is we hold 300, we break last week's highs, and then buying dips for a trend join. That's CRM. Next idea is KKR. And again, this is another one of those ones that's been really, really strong, had a pullback, and this kind of price action when we pull back to the 20-day is what I love. I love to see this. And again, look at this, 2 inside weeks in a row. Okay, so take out last week's highs, and then I'm looking to join trend. It's a strong name. You're getting higher lows right here on the 20-day over what's this high right here? 79.16. Over 79.16, I'm looking to buy dips and join trend on KKR. Now, I was going to do the screener with you guys. This is my oversold reversion setup screener on FinViz. It's very simple. I went over it the previous Sunday prep, so I'm not going to do that again. I will point out the only name that's even meeting the most strict criteria is Chegg, and I have nothing, no part of this I don't want. This is not an idea of mine. I just wanted to show you that it's the only result being returned with that maximum criteria. So obviously we loosen up the criteria a little to RSI of 30, and you get a bunch more names. But I've been through the charts, guys, and nothing stands out. Okay. The only thing I did think was maybe DK&G, but it's not there yet. DK&G for me was down here off 30. So if this speeds up and we're to flush really hard down into 30, I'll be there to scoop DKNG for a bounce play. So that's it for the long setups, guys. And remember how I told you at the beginning, there's not a lot of ideas that I'm putting out there this week. Think about it. I can't put a ton of long ideas out there because of where the market's at, right? I don't want to be super focused on the longs when the market is definitely getting a bit frothy up there. And at the same time, the short ideas, I want to keep it to ideas where I need to be able to short the pops. And a lot of these names are just stuck. I mean, I went through a ton of charts this weekend. A lot of names are just stuck in these really, what I like to call no man's land. There's just nothing there. Now, if something changes and they come down and get below some levels, then maybe we can short some pops. Or if names speed up, then maybe we can look for those lower highs and fade it back to reality. But that's why there's not a lot of names. It's also a short week. It's also going to be crazy on the small caps. So that was why I didn't have 15 to 20 ideas like sometimes you might expect. But again, sometimes less is more. Remember that, guys. It's not about having 100 ideas. It's about having a handful of ideas and maybe one or two of them work, and that's it. Because you have to also understand, for every idea I put out there that works, there's probably a few that don't, but you have to understand how to trade them, how to manage risk, because I might have 2 out of 3 that don't work, and this kind of goes back to what I talked about in the intro. I might have 2 or 3 that don't work, but the one that does pays for all the losses and some, and that's the point of having that good risk reward, guys. So for the short ideas, first one on my list is Square. This thing looks like it's getting ready to base jump. I'm looking for it to come back down to this 190 area, and for me personally, I'll just set the alert now. I just want it to lose these lows from October. If it loses October's lows, my idea is short pops back into resistance. Now, it may offer a nice short if it pops back into the 20-day, but I don't like that. We already had that, right? That was last week. It pushed up there, and this is why I like those short the pops back into the 20-day. Look at how they work. I mean, you had the 200-day and the 50-day right there as well. So if you had been watching for that, that was a great setup. But now that we had that rejection, I want to see new lows. So I want to break October's lows, and then I'm looking to short pops and join trend. And remember, guys, if you don't understand how to look at these short ideas because you trade long ideas, look at how that chart looks when you flip it upside down. That looks like a nice big old rounded bottom with some higher lows, and it's about to break out, right? So if we were in a strong market and this, we had pulled back to some bases and built a base of support, and you had names like this, these would look like great longs. But that's not the market we're in, guys. And this, to me, looks like a great short if we take out October's lows. The next idea was Twilio. And again, it looks like it's ready to base jump. So I have the alert set down there. This one I wanted to break through May's lows. Keep in mind, this one here, I have no idea if this one's going to produce the trade this week, but I am keeping this on watch until it does, or until it does something that would negate my short thesis on it, okay? But I feel like if we lose May's lows, it's got some air below it, and 250 would be the first magnet. I mean, you have the annual at 260. Obviously, that might be a spot to take some profit, but a lot of times those psychological levels like 200, 250, 225, those can be magnets for the price. So I've got the alert set. If this thing loses May's lows, I'll be looking to join trend on the short side on Twilio. Hog. This one has been just a layup short on every pop, guys. And what I like about it right now is that not only do we get the lower highs right off that weekly 20, and remember, like, flip it upside down, this looks like a very nice long setting up, but look at the weekly. This is what I love about it. Got lower highs on the weekly, right on the weekly 20. So if this loses not last week, but the week before its lows, that's where I would look to join trend on Hog. I feel like this chart is another one that it's just every pop is just sold. When will it change? I don't know. Until it does, I want to join and make money on the short side with Hog. I guess that's kind of un-American of me, but I'm a Canuck, so. AI is the last idea from this section. And remember, this was actually a long idea because I thought we had curled and we had broke out, but this thing made a big old push to try to get back to highs, stuffed real hard, and then we lost this level. So personally for me on AI, any pop back in, I have two levels, 42, which is the monthly, a pop back into 42, I'm there. If that level doesn't work, I will definitely be interested in that annual at 43.70. Actually, I have three levels. You can see the pivots on my charts, guys. I like this one because it lines up nice with the lows that it broke here, right? I like the annual pivot because it lines up nice with these lows. And I like this monthly pivot up here because by the time we get up there, I'm thinking that the 20-day is going to have curled down. It's going to be right in that pocket. So 3 different levels on AI. If we get through the first 2, I will still be there trying it at the third, but I'm not the type of trader that's going to ride this all the way up from 42 to 45 with my original position on. So make sure you guys have your own plan and you have your own way of managing risk, because I can't tell you the pressure of putting ideas out there, knowing that some people may take your trades and not understand how to manage their own risk. That's not fun. So I don't like getting DMs like people got hurt or whatever, this trade you put out there or whatever. Guys have to understand, I manage my risk, got to manage yours. This is not financial advice, guys. So that's all the ideas other than the overbought reversion setups, guys. And so we'll go, remember for that one right here, we just changed that. And actually, I like to keep it to 2 million. I don't like these thinner names. So look, nothing hitting the register at 90 RSI. So we'll come down to 80. There's a few, and honestly, they're a bit like QCOM's part of the sector that is strong, right? It's part of that chip tech sector. So I'm not super excited about trying to fade that name. HD, I looked at it earlier, and one of the thoughts I had about HD was, I don't know why there's this here, was that it gets these extensions like right here, right? We get this extension, and instead of giving a big fade, it goes sideways for 2.5 weeks until the 20-day catches up. It doesn't mean it won't give a nice fade, but I like to see the names like, what was the one from last week? I think it was SPR or something. No, SPG. Yeah, it was SPG, where when you look back at the historical times when it got extended, that it slammed back down. Now, obviously, even that's not a guarantee, right? But this one did give some sort of a retrace, and then it bounced. It's going sideways, so there's nothing there. But just know when you're looking for these setups, you want historically the chart to show you that these work. When they get extensions, that they give nice reversions back to some levels. So, again, just like with the oversold reversion setups, there's not a lot out there that I like. Same with the overbought. There's nothing, I don't really feel like shorting QCOM. There might be a setup there if we get extended more, maybe. But the sector is not the sector I feel like I want to be shorting. There's a lot of other things that are lagging right now when the market's pushing up. And, you don't want to, I think Mark Cahodes is the one that always says you don't want to try to fight a jaguar in a tree, right? You want to wait till something gets shot down out of the tree and is struggling to even survive, and then come in and just take the easy kill. I think that's wise a lot of times when picking your battles. So I do want to answer some questions because the list was shorter this week, right? So I'm kind of going to go through the chat real quick and we'll see what we find in here. Let me scroll up a little bit. Roblox, somebody's at. Sorry if I'm going, guys. I'm gonna take them in the most recent to the oldest because it's just gonna be easier for me. So Elia was asking thoughts on Roblox short spikes. Roblox has been hella strong. I do think there could be setups. Now, the one thing I will point out was this day here was the short day, and it gave a great short. But it's already pushed back up. Anybody that overstayed is bagged. There's some shorts that are probably upside down in it still. And you have to think, there were probably shorts in it from here, here, and here that on this day maybe added, thought, oh, finally we're right. And then the next day we're even higher. So I honestly feel like Roblox is probably better to just wait for pullbacks to levels of support and try to buy it. And you can see the volume has drastically increased too since that last earnings report. This was actually, I think this was on last Sunday's prep for a long, right? Again, just like I just said about QCOM, I feel like you're picking the toughest name out there to go and try and fight short. So be careful trying to short Roblox. Yeah, DMC is pointing out that the breadth isn't too good right now, and that's kind of what I was touching on. Is like, even though the market is pushing, there's a lot of individual names just look like complete shit. Let's see. Having a high win rate can make you a terrible loser. I learned that lesson. Pretty much blew up while having a 90% win rate. Shifting focus now on paper trading. Exactly. That's and it sucks to know that you had to experience that the hard way. Me, Goose, Adriano, a lot of the guys, over at TrueTrader, and a lot of guys that aren't even part of TrueTrader, but I'm friends with them outside that are traders in the community, share these pieces of wisdom with you guys over and over and over again in hopes that you guys don't have to learn it the hard way. Unfortunately, and I was the same way, guys, so I'm not trying to kick anyone while they're down. I learned a lot of lessons the hard way that people try to tell me, right? And so it sucks, but sometimes taking big losses or whatever is actually the turning point in someone's career, because until you go through that pain, until you get your hand burned on the stove enough times, then you actually put rules in place that prevent those from happening again. I forgot, the guys upstairs are trying to tell me Black Friday sale, 30% off your first month at TrueTrader. I'm not one for sales. I think they suck. But listen, what I will say is this: if you're waiting for a 30% off sale to come over to TrueTrader, pull your head out of your butt, because the shit is so cheap even without a sale. I can't believe people would even have an issue with the monthly fee to be a part of that community. Like, we brought people into the community and they've kind of looked around and like, dude, this is not like any other chat room I've ever been in. It's not Discord, it's not Slack. We have a real platform with real tools, with real traders. You guys shouldn't be waiting for a sale to join. And anybody that's in the chat that's part of TrueTrader will tell you that. And we're not asking them to tell you that. Listen, they're there every day and they see firsthand the difference. So Tyler, my mustache is getting crazy. Yes. All right, I didn't want a bunch of these comments to be about my mustache, but I apologize. Let's see. Could you give an example on how you join a long trend intraday? Yes. So I know when we try this, the problem is people are going to go, that's in hindsight, that's really easy. But let's just use Roblox since we're already on that chart. And you guys should already know that I use the 20 SMA on every single time frame, okay? So when something's going, first of all, here's the way I do it. You want the stock to have a reason to be along first, okay? You don't want to just pick any stock, like something rips and you're like, oh, let's buy a dip. No, there has to be a sound thesis on why that stock is along in the first place. So for that reason, not sure Roblox would make the best candidate because of where it was. Now, definitely could say that, yeah, it gapped up and probably trapped people and then it pushed like that. But I've seen that same thing happen and then it fails, falls down here and makes lower highs and rolls back over. Let me see let's see. What is another name that was a pretty strong trader on? Let's look at some charts real fast, guys. Okay, so here's one. Airbnb. The crappy part is it's not going to be this may make a good long this week. Now it's not on my list, but it's been a strong name and it had this gap up on earnings, and so far it's just putting in a range, right? So I mean, imagine you just draw like a box here. You got your range, okay? This could go sideways for a while, but we're at the bottom side of that range. So maybe we want to look for a long on Airbnb on Monday. And the way we're looking for it is two things can happen. Well, three, okay? We could just open flat and nothing happens. We could flush off the open and have morning weakness, or we might push off the open. So you have to have plans for both. If you flush off the open, your idea is probably not to join trend, okay? Your idea might be to scoop the weakness for a quick bounce play, or even short the pop for a join trend on the south side. But if it were to push off the open, and let's see if we can use the big green day I had here, because it looks very similar to what we're putting in over here, okay? We have this nice little feature here where we can get in here and then look at a 5-minute chart. And so watch, we know what the outcome is, and so yes, it's hindsight, but I will tell you the way I personally do it, okay? So we get the morning push, and we had reason to think there was a long here. If you guys remember the daily chart, right? It had this big pullback, and we started making higher lows, and it was a strong earnings winner. So a reason to think that it's a long in the first place. So you get this big early push, and actually in the first 15 minutes of the day, I'm on a 1-minute chart, and look at where the pullbacks come to. Now this one here did not get to the 1-minute 20, but it did put in a low, a push up, a higher low, and then the break right here sent it. So that's a typical setup you'll see me trade. Now I know you guys see this green 200 day. It's because it was my daily chart. I apologize. I do not have the red 50 day or the green 200 day on my 1-minute chart typically, okay? I have the 1-minute 20, which is this. And you'll see it gave this pullback here. It didn't get to the 1-minute 20, but what did it do? Made new highs, pulled back to the 1-minute 20, push up, another little pullback held. And those are the spots where I like to join trend. If it's going to be something that has a reason to be long, pullbacks to the 1-minute 20. After we get outside that first 15 minutes, I do like to switch to a 5-minute chart or even a higher time frame. But what you'll notice is this thing's not giving those pullbacks yet. Now we're going sideways. It's a bit later in the day, but this is the next spot where you want it to hold the 5-minute 20. And I don't know if it comes lower first or if we just blast off, but that's the way I trade them. Pullbacks to support, and you have to know how the 20 SMA works as support. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Thoughts on Roku oversold yet? Ugh, I hate Roku. I don't think Roku could get oversold in my opinion. I feel like, Roku is in my opinion, just an overvalued big old piece of junk. Now, doesn't mean it can't get oversold, because it can. Let's see here. I guess Island Girl, it is kind of getting there, but the only way you'll catch me trading this is maybe a hard flush down in the psychological 200 level, and possibly, just a quickie. I'd rather short pops back into this area here, 270s. Any pop back into 270, I think it's a fade. Sorry, I'm just reading this chat here. I appreciate the comments, guys. I see a lot of the TrueTrader guys in here talking about the community, and straight up, I've said it a million times, guys. It's one of the things I'm most proud of, is being a part of that community. So, like, I'm happy you guys are happy. That's all I can say about that. What do you think about mRNA and Lilly? Eli Lilly. Not much. Honestly, like, I thought it was having a nice little setup here when we pulled back, made the bounce, but then to really come back in even further, honestly, nothing about this I really like except here, the weekly chart. And we're off the weekly 50. So maybe if we tighten up another, like, maybe give us an inside week or something, just some tightening action, and then maybe it could have a push. But I don't want to trade it where it's at. Eli Lilly's a bit better looking. I mean, the chart looks bullish on that one. Again, not something I'm looking to trade though. If that's what you guys like to trade, then all for it. But just make sure you guys understand that the pharmaceutical and biotech industry sometimes can have some unforeseen catalysts, things that can happen. So just keep that in mind when making plans to trade those stuff. I hate jumping back and forth to communities, trading styles, but haven't found consistency in 3 years. Always enjoy your content, so we'll check out TT. Yo, trust me, come over and DMC. We have a 5-day, $30 trial, I think. Just come over for that, $30. See if you like it. And again, there is the Black Friday sale. I'm not big on sales, but there is that, guys. So thoughts on AMAT for a long. AMAT's one of those ones I don't like to trade. Now, that is an ugly, ugly daily candle. 144.50 to 145 is what he's asking. That's the right area to look for it at, but you know, the way I'd like to see it happen, yeah, you know, hands down, that looks like a good spot. There's the quarterly pivot at 141.36. That, you know, I would be interested in as well. But again, I don't really like to trade AMAT that often. For whatever reason, out of all the names that are in that industry, that's the one I tend to stay away from. All right, so I'm not sure if there were any more questions. If I missed them, I'm sorry, but we'll listen. Here's what you do: give it a thumbs up. Make sure you guys are subscribed and turn on notifications. If you guys leave a comment after the video, after the live stream is over, I will go and make sure I answer those questions. Okay, so if I missed anything, throw them in the comments section. I hope you guys got some value out of this. Make sure you're prepared for the turkey week. If you trade small caps, be careful out there this week. I know a lot of people get really amped up and excited because of the prospect of making some killer trades. But remember, that's a double-edged sword. Like, it's very easy to, you know, drop your guard for a split second and find yourself in one of those situations like deer in the headlights. So be very careful out there. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, guys. Remember, trading's a means to an end. Live your life. Spend it with people that matter. Be grateful and pick other people up. Make other people feel good about themselves. That's a big, big thing. All right. So love you all. Go Kansas City. Yeah. All right. Everybody have a good one, and happy Thanksgiving.